I mean, and you're talking about him running a program that Ewers looked like a champ, getting hurt all the time, right? So he comes in and doesn't look particularly great. Yeah, I understand that the name and the lineage and that's all going to help, but I don't see him as a number one pick based on what we've seen. So I don't know why everybody's so like, oh, we got to get Arch. It's like, you guys should probably calm down a little bit. What we watched him play was a third rounder.
Yeah, I agree with the calm down. Let's pump the brakes on Arch for now. Definitely not giving out first overall pick energy at all. So
no, like literally third rounder, sure, right? Project, but you want to make sure you still have a 5th-year option kind of thing. Like, I get it, that could work, but if first overall, like I don't know what y'all are watching different film than me.
Hey, what made Moore return? Why did Moore versus? Because I felt like if Moore would have came out, there's a good chance he would have been a 2nd overall pick. You could only really go up 1 pick from there. What made Moore return to Oregon?
So the speculation is he wants to try and win a Heisman.
Ah, okay.
So I don't know if that's true. That's just the speculation that I've heard, right? So take that for what it is.
Right.
But if that's the case, then fair enough.
Interesting.
Because if you're looking at the people that are coming out next year, he has a pretty good shot at it. And Oregon,
especially if you're clearing the deck. If Ty's not coming out next year, I mean, right at this point, who is? It looks like it is Moore coming out next year at this point, coming into the season.
So if he can have a year like he did this year, he wins the Heisman.
Nice.
So like I kind of get it. Plus, I mean, if you're the number 2 overall pick, though, it's tough to turn down. Though, that rookie contract's like $40 million, right?
It's a lot of money, man.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money. I feel like it outweighs NIL money at that point. If you're going that early, you know.
Oh yeah.
So, Reg, what did you think about LSU adding a quarterback?
I'm not really too. I have a friend from LSU who's very much into this. He's a big LSU fan, and he loves it. I don't know much about the kid to pass judgment on it one way or the other, to be honest with you. I'm not really sure. I'm not like I've watched the kid's tape to give any analysis. I would just be talking out of my behind if I was to just say anything. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I try to refrain from doing that, especially more in 26, less talking out of my behind in 26.
I mean, we're only a couple weeks in, so you know.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't broken it yet, guys. You know what I
mean? Dave, how are you doing tonight?
Doing all right. Going all right. We were having, and I'm sure you guys may have been impacted with the Verizon outage, and then somehow it impacted my internet. So
glad to see you made it through there, Dave.
Struggling to get on, but I'm back on. Yeah.
I did see that it hit the Northeast pretty hard.
Yeah. It was starting like probably 1 o'clock. So that's 10 o'clock your time. 10 in the morning is about when it started. It was like all afternoon, and I think it's sporadically still going on. So
yeah,
for people that wanted to call 911 or use their maps because like Waze and stuff wasn't operating.
That's terrible.
Wow. Now, for me, I have T-Mobile, but I mean, you know, it started out here, right? So, so my coverage is good.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I don't usually have a bad with AT&T, so
yeah. This was specific to Verizon, and had pretty broad impact.
So it wasn't just Verizon; it also impacted all the other carriers that shared towers.
Okay.
Oh, so it was certain towers affected then.
Yeah. So anybody that shared towers. So if you had a carrier, say it was T-Mobile or AT&T or whatever, and they used a Verizon tower because they didn't have a tower there, because sometimes they do that for each other, it would affect those carriers too. So it sounded like it was a network failure for Verizon.
Yeah. I'm still thinking maybe it was a DDoS attack, but they I guess so far they've said no. That's not the case, but we'll see.
I think it would have been like more widespread though, right? Like that
A
would
good one would have been anyway.
Like,
Yeah, well, I'm sure San Diego would have been at least one of the targets. So evidently we missed that one. This is something that you might know more about than most of us. What's with this new red shirt rule now? 9 games.
I'm not sure who you're asking, but like
definitely not me.
I was talking to you, but go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Like I'll weigh in on it as far as I think this has to do with the NIL. Is
right. Most definitely, yeah.
Transfer and stuff. Now I know the transfer portal has changed, so it's made it a little more sense moving forward. But yeah, I think some of this is letting kids keep eligibility, and they're sort of prolonging because NIL deals also benefit the schools. So it helps the schools to keep these kids in there because for them to pay out NIL means that money's coming in, right? So they have a vested
for sure
in extending these kids' careers as far as college is concerned. So this is speculation on my part, but it sure looks that way from the outside.
But was it
that would affect retention too, wouldn't it?
Absolutely.
Because if they're in a red shirt year and they only have 4 games and they're approaching it, well, now the incentive is
now it's 9. Now it's 9.
Yeah.
Right.
So they can play almost the whole year in red shirt.
Right.
So all of a sudden that extends that eligibility out, which lets kids stay in school. So they're going to pay more tuition, and the NIL money keeps coming in. And, a lot of these kids aren't going to make it to the next level. So they have an interest in staying in school too. To be like, oh, you know what? We're not going to a playoff. Let me duck out and keep this year of eligibility.
Well, now I wonder
playing to 27, guys. That's what we're going to see. These kids playing until 27 now. Like with these new rules, they're going to try to stretch it out as far as possible.
Who is it? Chambliss that just
fighting
he
for
lost
it.
his court case.
Yeah.
And,
he's fighting
that would be for 6 years of eligibility.
6 years, right?
Case,
I was going to say.
Yeah.
Well, in this case, the 1 year he didn't play at all.
Yeah, with the COVID thing, he's graduating and getting his last year at like 45. Like
he's still eligible, guys. Still eligible.
Yeah, gonna have guys coming out with gray beards like me.
Right? Are you a professor? Oh no! I'm a senior.
Well, I'm going to be interested how this impacts the other sports because Penn State wrestling is going through that. Their 141 pounder Nagao has been suffering injuries, and they were redshirting Braden Davis, who was an All-American at 125, and he was being redshirted. Well, now they're reactivating him because they're early enough in the season. But I wonder if these rules are eventually going to impact other sports. And so cool.
Yeah. Well, hey, we've already seen many instances of NIL and the impact. So right now, seems like it's beneficial enough for the kids, to me. As well as Bo pointed out, the schools also. The championship, we have Indiana favored by 8.5. Over under is 47.5. Who you got, Bo?
Man, I'm not gonna lie. Like the way they beat up on Oregon. Like that was rough, and Oregon didn't have like a trash defense. I mean, it wasn't amazing. I don't think it's necessarily as good as Miami's defense, but their offense is better. I wouldn't be surprised if Indiana beats the brakes off of Miami too.
Goodness, beats the brakes off of them.
Hey, what was it? 55-22, something like that. Right?
They've been steamrolling teams.
And that score didn't actually show you what the game was because there was a garbage time score at the end that didn't matter. Like that game was a blowout the whole way. Like it was a rough watch.
Yeah, it was.
I'm not an Oregon fan, so as a Husky fan, I enjoyed watching Oregon get smacked. But
Man, got a lot of enjoyment, man. I hope you watched all the way through, man. That thing was good for you all the way through.
I was sitting there with my popcorn. I was like, let's go.
Oh man. Yeah.
Well, I mean, but the thing is Oregon they also played very badly too. With the turnovers and stuff like that.
But don't you think that was Indiana that made them play badly?
Maybe with that defense showed up, man.
Our defense is no joke. Like Cignetti is as arrogant as that dude is. He built a team.
Yeah.
Especially when you look at the talent of the roster, right? They have 7 4-star recruits on that team. That's it. No 5 stars, 7 4 stars. That's the entirety of it. If you looked at the other 4 teams that were in the last 4 there, the lowest one had at least 50 4 and 5-star recruits, right? So the other ones had 50 plus, and they had 7. So that lets you know that this is a team that is bought in, and it is a culture-driven machine. That's going to be tough to beat with just talent.
What do you think, Dave?
Well, I mean, Indiana just looked so dominant, and it was on both sides of the ball. And again, what I love about this game, Indiana, Miami, this is transfer portal all the way in the NIL.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is
yes, this is the results, guys.
Of these rules. A couple of years ago, these teams wouldn't have sniffed this. I don't believe.
Go buy a ring. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And so I think that this is. I like it. I would. I mean, Miami. I mean, they beat Ohio State, right? So they're a pretty good team, but I think I would go with Indiana, even with that big spread. 8.5 points. I think I would go with Indiana just by the performance that they just had, and then the quarterback that they have, Mendoza, who I think is going to be. I would think that he would be the number 1 pick.
No question. Especially after that
by like a mile. By a mile. Yes.
Absolutely. So with that, I would have to go with Indiana and maybe 47.5. Is that over under for the game, or is that for Indiana's scoring alone?
That's for the game.
That's for the game.
That is hilarious. That's hilarious because that over under would not have been right on some of just Indiana scores on some of the games that Indiana's played. They would have cleared that. They would have definitely paid out on that on the over.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
crazy.
One I love. I actually love this matchup, and I kind of gotten out of the habit of watching much college ball, and I think I want to watch this game. This has kind of reignited a bit of my interest in the broader NCAA football picture. So I like the matchup. It'll be interesting, because these are the 2 dark horses, really from. I mean, how many people were picking Indiana or Miami to win the championship or even make the CFP at the beginning of the year?
Well, I know a lot of Big Ten people were talking about Indiana after last year, but I don't think that they had. I don't know if they had with this gung ho over Indiana, but
Yeah, I think most people would have picked Ohio State over Indiana.
Oh yeah, I mean, even up until last week when Ohio State got beat, it was still Ohio State was favored, I believe.
Yeah. And by the way, James, Sue, she said she promises next week she'll have a Sue's Corner.
All right.
There's been a lot going on.
We're getting back to it, guys. We're getting back to it for the rest of the year here.
I thought I was going to have to request it for my birthday, but okay, that sounds good.
I'll tell her.
Yeah, my birthday is February 4th, so it wouldn't have been that. It's almost there, but okay. Uh, so, Reg, you heard everybody else
on the Indiana subject.
Right?
Oh yeah. I mean, we're kind of like I just ditto what everybody else has already said. I mean, it's hard. How do you bet against what you've seen? Like what Dave has said is the problem is the dominance on both sides, guys. We're not in a situation where it's just one side. They look dominant on both sides of the ball. Defense forcing turnovers, offense like they're just running down the field casually. So it's kind of like
even special teams.
Yeah, exactly. When you're doing that, when you're executing on all sides of the ball like that, I just think it's hard to stop. The 8.5 does interest me a little bit. I kind of want to take Miami with the 8.5. I think maybe they keep it slightly closer, but here's the problem. The problem is that you could come in the day after this game and Indiana could have beat them by 20, like casually beat them down. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't. I'm just not. This is a game where you're not comfortable betting. I'm going to go Indiana. The 8.5 does make me a little bit uncomfortable. I think Miami might close that, but I don't think they're going to win though. I just think that Indiana's going to win. Like, never. If Miami comes out of this victorious, that'll be excellent for them. You know what I mean? And this also being what I talked about in the NIL when NIL first started to happen, how we're going to see a sea change in the college game, and this is the residue of that. Like this is it, guys. This is the sea change that when you can go out and just be paid money to go anywhere, then you can't stack all of three of you can't go to kids anymore and say, hey, we're going to put you on TV, or we have 3 to 4 teams that you can genuinely go to. You can go to North Dakota and get drafted. So it's kind of like now, who's going to pay me money? And now a lot of these teams, there's a lot more parities because teams, these kids are on a lot of different teams. And I liked it. Just like Dave said, I'm a fan of it. I'm going to take the over on the 47.5. Over on the 47.5. But I like the, but yeah, I like that.
Yeah. Grandma's on the insulator, the respirator. Indiana, so, pray for grandma. That's all I can tell you. Anyway, yeah, Indiana and the over.
Indiana and the over.
And, they just put up 55 last week. I mean, so.
Well, and they dunked on a team that's not like a slouch of a team.
Right. Hey, like I said, pray for grandma. Anyway, so guys, Petulo, what did you think? Reg, they dumped him as offensive coordinator, but if you want to stay on as in another position, we might be able to find room for you. Ball boy's assistant.
Man. We'll get him in the building. So keep him in the building somewhere, man. Not tyrants. Keep you in the building somewhere if you want to stick around. But I think this is quite obvious here. Like, of course. It's like if you're not going to fire Sirianni, you're going to fire it. Of course you're going to fire him. Like, who else are you going to fire? The defense still plays pretty good, in my opinion. The offense is just not that great. And if this is like a step closer to Sirianni. If you can't get the guy, you get the guy next to the guy. And this kind of reeks of that to me.
Yeah. As I called it, Bo, low-hanging fruit there.
Yeah. No, you knew this was coming. This was an inept offense from week 1. Like they were never able to really get this thing going. And it's not like they lost crazy amounts of talent, right? So this is clearly a coaching issue, maybe a culture problem. So for him to be kicked out of there makes all the sense in the world, especially when you figure, as you look across the league, a third of the coaching staffs are getting fired. Like this is wild. Yeah, there's a lot of people available. So you've got a guy that's underperforming. Literally a third of the coaching staffs are available to you.
Yeah.
So I would kick the tires on some other people too. Not to say that he doesn't have value. So it does make some sense that they're like, hey, if you want to hang out as maybe a position coach or something, okay. But I think there's too many high caliber coaches that are available to not move on, especially when your roster is set up to win. So,
right.
yeah, them firing him makes sense. If they can't find it this next time around, yeah, Sirianni may find his way out. It's not like it would be the first time we've seen the Eagles win a Super Bowl 2 years later, fire a guy.
Right. Yeah. Dave, what do you think? First of all, replacing him, but I mean, can he really stay? I mean, is there a certain amount of pride here, or like, hey, to the highest bidder?
Within the Steelers, I've seen position coaches that have been replaced and kicked upstairs, made into senior coaches. Like I think Mike Sullivan was an example of that. And what it comes down to is Roseman. I mean, he knows his coaches. He knows their personalities. I think it comes down to the relationships between those coaches and the management team. The ownership team. And I don't know Batula that well, but here's the thing: is he somebody else might be willing to give him a shot, and so he's not necessarily going to be needing a job, and he might be able to find something else maybe, but I would look at what's the relationship between the management and that particular coach. Some teams you look at and the there's kind of like a rocky relationship between ownership and the coaching staff, for example. There's a lot of friction there. Others, they get along really well, and you get some coaches that are willing to kind of push their ego down to push the organization further. And I don't know what that relationship is, but that's what I would look at. And specifically between Roseman's the general manager, and the head coach, and Patullo.
Reg, what did you think about that Packers loss? Do you think my man might be on the hot seat there a little bit, or what did you think? I mean, when you watch Chicago come back, maybe Chicago was just a better team.
Yeah, I think Chicago's a better team. I like Chicago. Like I think I picked Chicago in that game. I gotta go back and look and see. Like I like Chicago. They were playing, I think, at home, playing in Chicago. Losing to Chicago in Chicago for the Packers isn't the worst thing in the world. I mean, it can happen to you. You know what I mean? That's not breaking news. You know what I mean? Like you lost in Chicago to Chicago, a team that had double-digit wins this season. So there's a chance that you were going to lose that game. Whether the floor being on the hot seat is dumb to me. I mean, you just took your team. That it's not like your team was healthy going into that. You had Jordan Love in and out of that lineup. You had the wide receivers. I'm not sure who's still. I think Romeo Doubs is the number one receiver because he plays. He's healthy the whole year. So as a result, he ends up being the number one receiver. It ends up being the Packers or whoever's healthy. If Jaden Reed, it's going to be him. If it's Christian Watson, it's going to be him. If it's Romeo Doubs, by default, it's Romeo Doubs because he's the most consistently healthy guy. You don't have enough skill players, in my opinion, on the Packers. And then what? Parsons injured too, I want to say. There's not enough players,
that was a few
guys.
Weeks ago. Yeah.
Skill players on the team for me to blame the coach, especially when you're still getting your team to the playoffs. So you're still getting your team to the playoffs, and you don't have a team like you don't have a team that I can look at and say, hey, this team should be winning the Super Bowl. Like, no, it's not what I look at and see with the Packers. And I think that LaFleur's done a pretty good job there, in my opinion. What he's got to work with.
What do you think, Bo?
They were in because of a tie, so it's not like they were like killing it, getting in, and they backed in on top of it, right? Like they weren't exactly like winning games and stuff. I don't know that he's necessarily on the hot seat. Green Bay's such a weird team because LaFleur has like found a way to get this team in the playoffs, but almost feels like they've underperformed, especially because they gave Love so much money. Love, I feel like, has underperformed based on the valuation. And so, and I thought they overpaid him when they did it because he had sat so long that by the time he finally played, they had to pay him, right? He started that season terribly. he rattles off 7 good wins. You give him $55 million a year. That seemed premature to me because they still had a 5th-year option on the guy. Like, I would have made him prove it one more time. Rattling off 7 wins, doesn't do it. That being said, if you have a guy that you've paid a lot of money at quarterback, it would not be the first time we've seen a coach get fired because of it. So do I think he's on the hot seat? I don't think he gets fired, if that's the question. Do I think his seat is hot? Absolutely. Now, this is a year that there's a lot of other coaches fired. I don't know if they want to throw their hat in the mix and, jump this thing up from the 9 that are already fired to potentially 10 or 11 if him and McDermott get fired.
Hey,
that's like a third of the league right there, man. Like if we get to like 11 guys, 10 or 11, that's a third of the league.
If you get to 11, that's
wild. It's wild. Yeah.
Hey, there's a lot of guys in call-outs looking for jobs.
And just
for
the record, guys started opening up their mouths and saying they want to come. If they I feel like when Mike Tomlin, Harbaugh, these guys leave and get guys fired, guys. Like when people see that guy's available, all of a sudden, the guy that you guys sitting there doesn't look as good. So now you might. I mean, even Tomlin leaving now. Tomlin better say he's taking a TV job or something because somebody's seat's gonna get hotter.
So here's an interesting perspective on it because they did come out and say that they are offering him an extension, right? So that is supposed to be in the works. A friend of mine is a writer that, may or may not have some outside information that it sounds like there is a chance that if he doesn't like the number, and as soon as you say something like that, it sounds like he's getting a pay cut. But if he doesn't like the number, then potentially trading him is an option also.
That's what you're talking about.
LaFleur.
Yeah.
Warm.
Just for the record, Reggie was the only one that picked Chicago in the over.
That did what?
I had faith in the guys.
In the Green Bay Chicago game, Reggie was the only one among us that picked Chicago in the over that pegged that particular game.
So I wasn't playing along with you guys. I actually went 6 for 6 this week.
Ah, very nice there, brother. Very nice. Weeks that I never have. So very, 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 very nice there. You know what?
You're gonna miss that Super Bowl champion hat that's up for grabs, folks.
I mean, I'm going to miss. I'm not going to win our Pick'em League. It looks like I'm probably going to come in second. But I will say I've been really consistent. So this is our 4th annual one. I won the first 2 years. I finished 3rd last year. I'm going to finish 2nd probably this year. And this is out of, about 30 people. So.
Another thing, guys, I want to say about the Packers situation, just to wrap that up, is being that they don't have a traditional ownership situation there. They have what is it, like a fan ownership? What is it, like a board type thing they have going on there?
It's a board.
I wonder, does that make them hold on to coaches longer, or does it make them let coaches go longer? Like, what kind of effect does that have? Does that have an effect of making you more patient with coaches, or does that have an effect where you're just like, get this coach out of here? Because if nothing else, from what Bo says, I would say coming into the season, it'll at least be a warm seat. If it's not a hot seat, it's going to at least be, it ain't going to be a cold one. So it's like he's not going to be playing with the wind in his sail. He's going to be having some pressure is going to be applied to him winning this season, I do think. So I wonder if that affects anything.
Had more coaches than Kansas City or Denver at this point.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I think what it rides on is whoever the board is appointed as president, and that's whoever's kind of driving the train.
Yeah, but
it depends on that personality.
But he can fire the coach. I mean, that's So let's talk about Harbaugh. I think it was kind of interesting the teams that he picked. The first team he visited was the Falcons. I'm sure Reggie was ecstatic about that.
Yes, absolutely.
The next team that he visited is the Giants. What do you think about these teams that are on the Harbaugh tour there, Bo?
So I did hear that Harbaugh was limiting the amount of appointments that he would do. When you're looking at the ones
7,
that are out,
right? Was it 7 or?
I thought it was less than that. And so maybe
if you limit it to 7, you pretty much limited to almost every job opening there is. You can't the limiting would have to be like 3.
At the time, there was only 5 though. I think at the time there was only 5 openings.
So
I'm going to limit my search to everyone.
Yeah, right. I thought what I read was he limited it to 3 or 4, and the New York job is probably the most attractive. You have a lot of talent all over the roster. You have a quarterback that, whether you like the kid or not, like he has the ability to move the ball. Probably got to teach him to go down sometimes. But outside of that, they have some pieces. They have a top 5 draft pick, and if you go in there with a little bit of patience, you're also going into a division that Washington aged out really fast. It's the oldest team in the league. Dallas does nothing but shoot themselves in the foot. So the only team you have to worry about is the Eagles that, just fired their OC. So, I mean, you have a situation where you could do something like this year where you could go worst to first with some smart draft picks. The other one is Atlanta. They have a very similar situation where they have lots of talent on that roster that was mismanaged. God, stop. So there's a lot of talent there, a decent draft pick. And so you could do some things there. I did hear that he kind of liked Tennessee.
Right. There was another one.
Interesting.
So that one shocked me a little bit.
Correct. That's an outlier for me too.
Yeah. Just because if you're going to spend time, then cool. Right. Because that's not a fast rebuild. And then it sounded like the last one that he had some interest in it only because McDaniel got fired after the fact. He might entertain that. It didn't sound like anybody else has a real shot at him.
Yeah. Dave, what do you think?
Well, I think in the case of Harbaugh, he's in a pretty strong position. I think among the coaches that were relieved, I would put him right there at the top. I think Stefanski's another good coach. But among the ones that were just in head coaching positions, I would put them up near the top. And when you look at Baltimore's record over the last 18 years, it's really, really solid. And so I think he can afford to limit who he's going to talk to. And that's up to him. I'm sure that all the teams, with the exception of Baltimore and probably Pittsburgh, but you never know. But I think all of the teams would reach out. Well, what you could have had is a situation of Stefanski moving over to Baltimore, Harbaugh going to
would have little musical chairs there,
and then Tomlin to Cleveland. Musical chairs.
Little musical chairs there.
So here's the question for you guys: how is it that Zach Taylor is the only one in the North that didn't get fired, and he has underperformed the most with the most? That offense is no joke.
Those Super Bowl appearances do wonders for you there, Bo. You know what I mean? They buy you some time. They buy you a little bit more time than a lot of coaches. And I think also the injuries, Burrow's injuries probably bought him a little more time than.
They don't buy you this much time. They missed the playoffs 3 years in a row. One of those, Burrow wasn't hurt, had a Triple Crown winning receiver. He had he won 12 games, would have won the MVP going away. And instead, they missed the playoffs. So, I get what you're saying. But he had an MVP year with a Triple Crown winner, and I don't think this is all Zach Taylor's fault, right? Because the GM hasn't gotten him talent. There's no defense. There's no offensive line. But there's a lot of times when a GM gets fired, the coach gets fired too. I don't know how both those guys are somehow safe. There's nothing I've seen
I have no idea about that.
There's nothing I've seen out of this team where I'm like, damn, we should run that back.
That sounds like a warm seat, a second warm seat, like LaFleur seat, right? That's another warm seat for Zach Taylor is what it sounds like coming into the season, because he doesn't sound like he's not coaching with the wind in his sails either.
What the standard rumor is that Columbus, Ohio has been for a long time, they've been requesting an NFL franchise, and the NFL has consistently turned them down. And their reasoning is if we give you an NFL franchise, then Cleveland and Cincinnati are going to want one too.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. And I hope Harbaugh comes to Atlanta. But I'm thinking with Harbaugh. My bad. Did you say something to me just now, James?
Then I was saying, what did you think about Harbaugh visiting the Falcons and putting them on?
Well, I'm kind of sad that he's visiting anybody else. That's what I think. I'm sad he left. Nobody wants to hear that you went on a date with a girl last night and she's going on a date with somebody else tomorrow. Like, I went on a date with her. Wait, that was the only date. Like, what are you talking about? Why are you even talking to anybody else? And that's kind of like what's happening with Harbaugh here. I'm scared that Harbaugh got out the building and goes and looks at the Giants and see that they have a better team than we do, because they do. And they have a better, to me, if I had to choose between the Atlanta job and the Giants job, I'm taking the Giants job because they have the most important position figured out. We in Atlanta, we don't have the quarterback figured out. We all know that could be a coaching recipe for disaster. Don't even register your kids in school with no quarterback, right? You keep your kids in school where they are, because it's a good chance you're coming back. You know what I mean? Because there's no quarterback here. It's going to get you fired. So at the end of the day, if you're going into a job, you're kind of saying, hey, well, if you're looking at all the jobs, even Cleveland's got your door. Like, we don't have nobody down here at that position. I like our skill positions. I like our team, but we don't have the most important position figured out. And when you look at a team that I feel like checks a lot of the boxes, the Giants is looking like the best job to me right now.
Reg, that's where you're looking at it wrong. See, you went on a date. She is dating.
Right. I went on a date. She was dating. Right. And that seems to be what Harbaugh is doing. Harbaugh has already said, I am seeing 7 people, brother. Like that. Don't.
Dave, I got to give you the first shot at this. We woke up this morning and Tomlin has stepped down. I think he's tied Noel for 9th with the most wins.
Yep.
So, Dave, first of all, what did you think about him stepping down? I thought it was kind of classy, because I thought Big Ben should have done the same thing 2 goddamn years earlier. He was my French.
How did Ben catch a stray in this? He's not even in this conversation. Not even about Ben.
Because I think if we had gotten rid of Ben 2 years earlier, Mike would still be there. He'd be there for 20, and we might have gotten past. And we might have gotten past one and done. But that's my rant. I was the one that started out that said Tomlin wouldn't be there past 2026.
I feel like you've been firing Tomlin every year I've done this show, James.
No,
fired Tomlin at the beginning of every year we've done this show. You've said it was his last year.
That's Mr. Scott. I defended.
It's definitively him as well. There's no question about him. It's definitely him.
As a matter of fact,
I feel like you were joining
I never blamed Mike. I blamed Omar myself. I was against Omar, not Mike.
Man.
I thought Omar was the end of Mike.
You just want a clean house, then. That's what you're saying. You're saying you want everybody out of there. That's what it sounds like.
No, but anyway, Dave, what did you think? What do you hear? And I like the rumor about possibly the DC from the Rams, maybe, maybe a couple others. But what's your thoughts here, Dave?
Well, first about Mike Tomlin, and I was one that said that he would not be fired, and I really thought that
he isn't fired. He stepped down.
Correct.
He wasn't fired.
He was going to be fired.
I'll explain. And Art Rooney II confirmed today. He had about a 15-minute press conference. Usually he does his a little bit later in January. This is about the time that Mike Tomlin would be doing his, but of course he resigned. But when he was being asked questions, Art Rooney II confirmed that whenever they went in to talk, that the discussion took a very different turn than he was expecting. And that in response to a question, he said, I was expecting to bring him back next year. And,
of course.
And so there's no doubt that Art Rooney II was prepared to continue with Mike Tomlin. And Mike, I think he took the high road. I think he realized that as long as he stayed in, number one, the crescendo was going to get louder and louder. And then even if Art Rooney II were to extend him before March, that the questions would continue because of this loss. So I think that he kind of went in with the idea. I mean, he wanted to win that game. I think he expected to win that game, but I think in the back of his mind was, if I don't win it, then I'm the problem. And so what he did is by taking no time at all, he just asked for enough time to address the team, who gave him a standing ovation. They really rallied. If you look at the kudos and compare it to what Harbaugh got, it's not close in terms of the players really coming out, and former players as well coming out and saying what an import that he had on their lives. And I think that the reason he did this is now what this means is that all of the candidates, including John Harbaugh, if they desired, are available for them to interview. He didn't wait a week or two for some of these candidates to be hired away, to be gone. So I think that was a very, as you said, James, a very classy move. Now, already a couple things that Art Rooney II said is, he was asked, well, hey, are you going to rebuild? Are you looking for a coach to rebuild? You haven't been able to. And Art Rooney II said, I don't like that word, rebuild. He doesn't believe in rebuilding. He wants to be competitive, and he wants to be competitive every year. And that's what they set out to do. And so, for 2025, the reason they signed Aaron Rodgers and traded for Jalen Ramsey and did all these moves was to be competitive in 2025 while they planned for 2026. But already, less than 24 hours after the announcement, they've already had preliminary discussions with 5 candidates. I don't have the names off the list, but I think that the guy that you mentioned from the West Coast was on there.
Defensive coordinator for the Rams, and there's a guy from the Dolphins.
Yeah, they've already talked to 5, and really, when it's all said and done, they're probably going to be talking to, I would imagine, somewhere from 12 to 20. That's about what they did whenever they hired Omar Khan. They hired, even though Omar Khan had been working for the Steelers for 20 years, they interviewed. They do a lot of due diligence. They're very thorough. They interviewed like 15 to 18 general manager candidates. I would imagine they're going to do the same thing with replacing Mike Tomlin. Art Rooney II, he mentioned, and I didn't realize this, that he had been on the committee that had hired Bill Cowher. He had been part of the search committee that hired Bill Cowher, and I didn't know that. I knew that he was with Mike Tomlin. So right now, the other question that was asked is, hey, are you going to look for an offensive-minded coach, or are you going to continue going with the defensive-minded coach? Because Noel, Cowher, and Tomlin were all defensive-minded coaches. And basically, Art Rooney II said, no, we're leaving that open. And for him, the most important quality isn't whether they're an offensive-minded coach or a defensive-minded coach. But he said the most important quality that I'm looking for is somebody that has leadership ability and somebody that fits the values of our team.
But Dave, four of those 5 guys are defensive guys.
Well, I would not get, and that's why I'm not even going over their names. I would not get excited about they named 4, because they're going to be interviewing. I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't interview 15 people at least. And then they're going to go, and it's going to be a relatively fast process. I think that within 3 weeks, and Chuck Noll and Bill Cowher and Mike Tomlin, they were all hired in January following the year that their predecessor left. And so, it'll be a pretty quick process, probably about 3 to 4 weeks, I would imagine. And there might be a little bit, maybe it'll go into February. I don't know, but I think that he said that before the combine, that certainly that they would have a head coach in place. In terms, now for me, what I was really interested in more than who the candidates are, is who's leading the search. Is it Omar Khan? Is it Art Rooney II? Or was it going to be Dan Rooney Jr.? Because then this is indicating who are the decision makers within the organization. And because Pittsburgh doesn't really share a lot of it, they're pretty good at kind of keeping things under the tent. And Art Rooney II said it's him and Omar Khan that are going to be leading the search with help from others within the organization, which I took that to mean talking about maybe Dan Rooney, maybe Weidel, maybe some other people. But Art said that he and Omar Khan are leading that search. So I think it's an exciting time for the Steelers. This is their first foray, looking for their fourth coach since 1969. So I think it's going to be pretty exciting.
Reg, since you're wearing the Pittsburgh shirt, I'm going to let you go ahead and.
Yeah, thank you, because it's been a very sad day. It's been a very sad couple of days here. And I don't think this is, by the way, I think Mike did the right thing in the sense of like maybe, and I'm not in his head, but it seems to me from how Dave just described it, maybe there was a sense that I'm not going to be fired. I'm going to be able to come into this job again the next year. If I don't step down, there won't be a change here at this position type situation. So I think he did kind of fall on the sword there to kind of step down and give the Steelers an opportunity. But, unless the offensive woes get fixed, I never really thought that they were Tomlin's fault. Like coming into the season, I remember telling Dave coming into the season that I was worried about our offense. And I reminded Dave throughout the year, through our chats, that I'm worried about our offense still. I'm still worried about our offense. I just no trust that even when we're within 5 yards of scoring, there's just no guarantee there. There's no trust that, hey, we're going to be able to score. The same way you go to there with like a Josh Allen or somebody, you just feel like, man, they're going to find a way to get it in there. The Steelers, I just never had that feeling the entire year. We spent a lot of money on DK Metcalf. I told you that I felt like he overperformed from what I felt he was going to do, but I still felt like he was not worth all the money. Like I felt like we could have done better there. So I've been worried about the offense. I don't think there's nothing Mike Tomlin could have done. The offense was just not good. Mike Tomlin couldn't have coached Aaron Rodgers to 35. You know what I mean? Like it is what it is. And this is so I don't understand how this is even his fault. Like you coached up and you managed. When you look at the quarterbacks, I got the quarterbacks here. Ben Roethlisberger, Mason Rudolph. This is since 2019, and he's gone 68, 48, and 1 with this. And I'm glad you put this guy on the screen right here. 68, 48, and 1 here. He's won with Mason Rudolph, Doug Hodges, Mitch Trubisky, Kenny Pickett, Justin Fields, Russell Wilson, and Aaron Rodgers. Half this list isn't even playing anymore. Like, I don't even know where these guys are even doing. And he's cranking out winning season after winning season with these guys. It's not Mike Tomlin that's underperforming. I think it's the Steelers finding a quarterback after Ben Roethlisberger is the problem. And it's the obvious one. There has not been one. So unless that problem gets switched, I don't care who we can pick a quarterback. We can pick a coach, guys, but unless he's going to come out there and actually be a competent quarterback all of a sudden, then we're going to be in the same problem. We're going to have the same issues. Great defense because we spent $1 billion on it, and putrid offense that can perform at times. At times we can put up points, and then other times we look like we should look like the old quarterback and no offensive pieces.
Something that will make you happy, Reggie. Whenever they were going over types of potential candidates, Art Rooney was asked whether any internal candidates would be considered for his position, because you know that whenever Mike Tomlin was hired, they kept Dick LeBeau and the entire defensive coaching staff except for the secondary coach. Well, Art Rooney II actually said no. We will probably not be considering anybody currently on it. They might be able to retain their positions based on what the new coach says, but it sounded like
I'm not even a real super fan of that. I mean, if we can just go and get Arthur Smith right on up out of here if we have to.
Was it 23 to 6? And you want Arthur Smith back? I don't think so. Well,
let's get Arthur Smith on up out of here, guys. I mean, we've seen enough, guys. We've seen enough.
Go ahead, Bo. Before I let Mr. Scott in here, I see he even threw away his cheese head.
I wish Scott would have showed up a little sooner, because I got to leave here in a couple of minutes. And
he always shows up when we got to go, Bo. I noticed that too.
Way to show up.
I noticed that as well.
I was trying to get
just in time for us to leave and get off.
All the accolades that I knew was going to be coming, so I just thought I'd try to wait.
You just happened to catch you walked right into it, Mr. Scott. You walked right into the accolades.
I figure I had to spin you up before I get out of here.
Predictions on Sam Darnold. Well, did you give your prediction? I mean, can you just do a quick one for me? Just for me, just a quick, I think
they done a tremendous job. I think they beat up on the Niners because they have no pass rush. If Darnold has time, absolutely, he can do it. To touch on the Tomlin thing, though, I really do think it was just protecting his legacy, because they're going into this next year where they're really going to start to fall apart. They have a really expensive defense that they're going to start losing some people on, wildly underperforming. Cam Hayward retires. You don't know what you're doing at quarterback. It's been a disaster at the quarterback position for a number of years. Going through that list, what it doesn't tell you is they tried Mason Rudolph 3 different times. It's been a disaster. So, they just need to full on reset that team. And, I get that he doesn't like the word, rebuild, but he also tempered the expectation by saying, we're going to compete if we can. Right. So he's already going into that, tempering the expectation of, we're going to try and compete, but there's a good chance we're not going to be that competitive.
But he quit, didn't he? And I understand.
It's called, also known as resigned. He resigned.
He resigned.
Yeah, but Bo was talking about what Art Rooney II was saying.
I was talking another statement about that quickly. Just another statement. So he resigns, but then I saw something about he's still under contract for a couple of years. So it sounds like he's going to still be paid to just sit out and do nothing.
So that's not how that works.
If he's under contract, doesn't he get paid?
No.
That means he just can't go nowhere else.
If you get fired, that's true. If you resign, that's not. And so they actually own your rights.
You own your rights, right?
Similar. We watched this just play out with Sean Payton. And so he went and did the TV thing. He resigned from the Saints. He comes back. Denver actually had to give up the draft pick to get his rights to bring him over. So if Tomlin ever comes back, then someone would have to give the Steelers a draft pick or some sort of compensation to get his rights. But they don't have to pay.
Still getting paid. Is he still getting paid if he's still under contract?
The only way that he would be paid is if Art Rooney II chose to pay him.
Yes.
And the precedence for that is like when Ryan Shazier got hurt, they didn't have to pay him at that point. They got him to a certain point, but they continued to pay him for several years.
But he quit. He quit.
He resigned.
If I quit my job,
quit is like when you leave the job in the middle of the job. The season's over. He just resigned at the end of the season.
So no, but yeah, I mean, he's not going to get paid because he resigned, and he doesn't need them. He doesn't need the money from them. CBS is already trying to put him in the booth.
Oh, they're going to try to put him in the booth for sure. Absolutely.
He'll definitely be in the booth.
I got to jam out, guys.
See you later, buddy.
Bo,
I
I gotta
gotta
get
care,
out of here
bro.
too after this.
give us your picks real quick, Bo.
Don't
Oh
go
yeah,
away.
no,
Feedback
I'm
next week.
definitely scared of the Vikings that aren't in the playoffs.
From the bleachers.
So I guess my closing thought here is that we have a unique situation where we have 3 NFC West teams as the final 4 in the NFC. And not only are those 3 teams stacked in the way that they all made it there, but you're looking at the number 1 offense with the Rams, the number 1 defense with the Seahawks, and the number 2 offense with the Niners. That is about as stacked out of one division as you can get.
So who's your picks? The Bills, Broncos?
So to run through it really quick, I have the Broncos getting it done. I just don't believe that Josh Allen's going to be a superhero 4 weeks in a row to be able to get to the Super Bowl. I have Seattle beating the Niners. The Niners have no pass rush. They lose Kittle, who has been their kind of magic weapon against Seattle. So they're going to fall there. I have the Rams beating the Bears. I just don't believe in the Bears playing offense for 4 quarters, and that's not going to work against a team that scores pretty easily and still has a top 10 defense of its own. So, and then I have the Pats winning. I don't like what I'm seeing out of CJ Stroud consistently during important games.
All right, Bo.
Take it easy, guys.
Take care,
James, I want
bro.
to piggyback off that because I got to run right behind him.
Yeah,
So I'm going to piggyback and run through those.
Go ahead. Final thoughts.
You're going to leave me alone with Anthony.
Yeah, man. I got it. He comes in right at the end. He'll be on the email chain. Don't worry. I got to get him somewhere. You know what I mean? The Broncos.
Bitter,
Take the
such
Broncos.
bitterness.
And I'm going to take the let's go Broncos and over there, Dave. Go Broncos and over. I'm going to take this. So is that the 49ers getting 7?
Yes.
Boy.
You know,
I
they lost.
don't know if I like that spread, though. I like the Seahawks to win the game. But, I mean, I think the 49ers – so if the 49ers – I feel like they're going to keep it closer than that, though. I think it can be closer. I'm going to take the 49ers and the points, the plus 7 on the 49ers.
All right.
And I'm going to go under there.
All right.
I'm going to go Texans. No, I'm going to go Pats.
You're going to get the Texans.
Pats and under.
Okay. And
Pats
what
and
about
under.
the Rams? The Rams are the
And
only
the
team
Rams
that's
and
giving points.
the Rams and the Bears. Oh, man.
The Rams are giving the Bears 3.5.
I mean, I kind of like the Rams to win that game. It's at the Bears. I'm going to take the Rams. I'm going to take the Rams, and I'm going to take the what's that? I'm going to go the under.
All right. Final thoughts, Rich. See you next
Final
week.
thoughts is 19 amazing years from Mike Tomlin. I'm going to donate my final thoughts for the next month and a half to Mike Tomlin. And I hope Mr. Scott is here to hear every single one of those final thoughts. And that's it. And that's my first one to start there, Mr. Scott. Don't you worry. We got about roughly 4-ish more final thoughts from Mr. Tomlin coming up. I'll have stats for you. Don't you worry.
Nice.
But I appreciate
Looking forward
those
to it, Reg.
years. I'll be here for that, guys.
Yeah,
See you
well,
next time.
Reg, you can run, but you can't hide.
I'll be around, man. If you come on like 15 minutes earlier, you can give us anything, man. You know, I'll be around, man. I'll see you on the email chain there, Mr. Scott.
He's coming on at 7:50.
7:50.
7:50.
Okay. All right, fellas. See you next time.
All right.
Take care, Reg.
I should have said 6:50. Sorry. So come on, Mr. Scott. We got to get your, you take now Tomlin's quit before you want him fired.
I never said it. I just said mediocrity. I didn't want. I said if you go by the track record. I mean, people were just like blah blah blah. It was like past his use by date. The fans were like, I still don't understand what happened, because he says he quits and everybody says no, he didn't really quit. He resigned, and it's not quitting.
What does the head?
He said I quit.
Okay, so all right, so then he said I quit, and he quit with 19 seasons of winning. It's been 19 years since the Super Bowl even had a Vikings player in it.
Well, why do we have to have the Vikings in this conversation? See, this is what I'm saying. When people reach back when they really don't have anything, then they try to put the brass knuckles in their hand and come up with something and start choking and start instead of staying.
There's been 537 head coaches in the NFL since 1920. And Mike Tomlin is tied with Chuck Noll for 9th all time.
Well, if you coach forever, you're going to win a lot. If you coach forever, yes, you're going. Even if you're 500 every year, you're going to have a lot of wins. This is all I'm saying.
But he wasn't 500 every year. If he was 500 every year, that's called mediocre.
Yeah, the worst he ever did was 500.
That's
the worst
average.
he ever did was 500.
So anyway, Mr. Scott, you might be in agreement with me here. What do you think, or how long do you think it's going to take the Steelers to get back up to par?
Well, you know what? Quiet as it's kept, and this is going to sound a little ridiculous, but years ago, the Vikings had a coach emeritus named Bud Grant. Okay? Bud Grant, finally, they couldn't win Super Bowls, and finally he just, Dave Osborne and Bill Brown just couldn't keep getting it done. So he retired. They hired this guy on his staff, this guy named Les Steckel, who was a military guy. And he brought in for 1 year, and the Vikings won 2 or 3 games that year. They called Bud back. Okay? Bud came back and coached the next year. I mean, they were like 7 and 8 or 6 and 7 and didn't make the playoffs. I could see a scenario like that happening with Pittsburgh. They bring somebody in, if it really just tanks out, I could see them bringing him back. I could see something like that happening. I really could.
I don't know if I could see that scenario, but what do you think, Dave? I mean, when you're going, through, and I'm thinking that Mike looked at the roster and saw the same thing that everybody else saw. You have no quarterback. The kid that we picked for the offensive line, he hasn't really worked out like we thought he should. You got Cam that's probably going to be gone. Our whole back end, the back end of our defense, I think we need to replace. But we've paid them so much money, Dave.
James, I have to break you in with breaking news. The reason I was late is people were calling. There's been another ICE shooting on the north side of Minneapolis.
Is that right? I didn't hear. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
My phone's been blowing up, and I don't know what the extent of it is, because some of the stuff I got from a guy named Jonathan, who's kind of seems like he's off his meds now, and he's just. But yeah,
Jonathan, that was on the show with us.
Yeah, but another shooting. Apparently, Walsh was on TV, an hour ago, and just said, "Trump, let's stop this. Let's just stop this right now." And then the shooting happened on the north side. So breaking news, and Like I say, this just affects me because I'm so close to it.
I'm actually planning on coming up there May 4th through the 7th, I think it is. There's a Head Start meeting up there that one of my colleagues is going to be speaking at.
Oh, let me know. Yeah, I'll connect with you. Definitely, let me know.
Yeah, definitely so. So, Dave, getting back to what we were talking about here. We got an offensive line in shambles. We got a defense that we've overpaid for. We have no quarterback. I mean, it seems like right now our quarterback room consists of Will Howard. I don't see Aaron coming back. I don't see Mitch coming back. What's your thoughts there?
Well, why did they drop Kenny Pickett? Why was Kenny Pickett such a bad?
They swung and they missed there. Well, I mean, first one to what like with Bud Grant being brought back. Actually, Pittsburgh early in their history had a history of doing that. They brought Kiesling back. He coached on three separate occasions, and then they also brought Joe Bach back twice. But now I think with the Steelers, and that was under Art Rooney, because he would always hire his buddies. I think with the Pittsburgh management now, one of the questions Art Rooney was asked is, well, did you try to talk Mike Tomlin out of it? Because, what I was telling the guys earlier before you came on, Art Rooney had his press conference today, and he was asked a lot of questions about the circumstances. And he said when he went in to talk to Mike, which they do every day, he goes, the conversation went in a completely different direction than he expected. And that Mike told him that this was it, and that he was doing it for family reasons. And stepping away is the term that he used. But they asked, well, did you try to talk him out of it? And Art Rooney II said, no, I respected that. And I think what's going to happen here is that whoever the Steelers hire as their next coach, they're going to give him a shot. It's not going to be like a one season and then they're done. They're going to give him a contract, and they're going to give him the time to succeed. Chuck Noll, his first season, only won one game. They were 1-13 Chuck Noll's first season as coach. So the Steelers have been through that, and whoever is named the next Steelers coach will be given an opportunity to right the ship. Now, to James's point, I don't see the situation quite as gloomy as that. One is I think that the offensive line, they played very poorly against Houston. But during the year, they actually improved quite a bit. And Rodgers, they protected Rodgers well against some really good edge rushers. And you have a very young line. I mean, Zach Frazier, Mason McCormick are second-year players. Dylan Cook came off the practice squad. Roderick Jones was a second-year player. He got injured, but had been improving when he was hurt, and he should be back. And then Troy Faltanu, this is really, he got hurt his first year, so he only had a few snaps his first year when he got hurt, and he was doing well. So they have a very young line, with the exception of Isaac Seumalo, that they'll probably have to draft a guard.
So is Rodgers done? Is Rodgers done? I didn't hear.
Yes, Rodgers won't be back because Rodgers came to play for Mike Tomlin, and you see now that's going to be the interesting thing is the players that are going to be gone, like Aaron Rodgers. You have a number. They have like 17 or 18 free agents coming up, and the vast majority of those guys will be gone.
Yeah, but did Rodgers say he's retiring, or did Rodgers say he's not?
No, what Aaron Rodgers said, and this was post game, was that he was asked about it 3 or 4 times until he finally said, "I fucking answered the question," literally just like that. But what Aaron Rodgers said is he's not going to make an emotional decision. So in other words, he's going to take his time to decide what he's going to do in terms of whether he's going to try to be back in the NFL. Now, it won't be in Pittsburgh. He came to play for Mike Tomlin. So, and the other thing is, and I'm not so worried about, all this money being spent on the defense, because like with the secondary, a lot of the guys that they signed were on short-term contracts to make them competitive for 2025. And so a number of those guys will be gone. Jalen Ramsey will be back, but a number of the guys are either already gone or will be gone. And then they're going to be reloading in those
DK
positions.
Metcalf.
DK Metcalf, they invested in DK Metcalf, which, I mean, he had a ball hit him right in the hands that he dropped. And that would have given the Steelers an opportunity to extend their lead if they got a touchdown or even a field goal on that. And that could have changed the entire momentum of that game.
Yeah, look at Chicago. One defensive play, one offensive play at a time.
Right. And so really the team was not that far off from being, well, I mean, one, they won the AFC North. And two, they were tied up with a very, very strong Houston team defense. Not the offense. I wasn't so impressed with, but
they put up 26 points on us.
Well, 13 of those were off of defensive scores.
Yeah.
Okay. So what? Yeah. So what? Again, it was 7-6 at the end of the third quarter.
Yeah.
So Pittsburgh was in it. It was anybody's game in the fourth quarter, and the Texans were a stronger team. They didn't break. The Steelers broke, and I think at the end, Tomlin said, "I've tried everything I can, and I haven't been able to crack the code." So he made himself accountable. Is the way I put it in my article. He took accountability on himself. Yeah. And you can call that quitting, but I mean, I choose to call that taking accountability on yourself.
Where's your article at, Dave? Because I definitely want to read this one.
Oh, I didn't go into a whole lot of detail. I put a link in the message, in our group message, or I can email it to you if you want. I'll send it to you. I didn't go into a whole lot of detail, but it was basically, hey, we lost more than just a preseason game. It's the end of an era.
Most definitely.
So, I think it all, and this is what Art Rooney II, a lot of it depends on who they name as the next coach. What does that guy want to do? And Art Rooney II has he gives empowerment to his coaches to kind of craft the roster as they see fit. So like in terms of, is he going to retain any of the current staff? That's up to whoever's hired as the next coach. In terms of the roster, how deep of a changeover, there's going to be a significant changeover no matter what. But how much deeper do you bring Cam Hayward back? He's contracted through 2026, but do you cut ties? What about TJ Watt?
Right.
Do you trade him? And again, all of those become open questions because it all depends on who did the Steelers name as their next coach.
Let's see. How did we do last week? But wasn't Mr. Scott in there last week?
He was. And surprisingly, Anthony outdid Bill. Bill only had 3 out of a possible 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. He only had 3 out of 12 possible picks, Bill. That's how crazy last week's games were. Don had 4 correct. Anthony, you had 5 correct. James, you had 6 correct. Reggie had 7 correct. And I led the way with 8.
Wow.
But I was the only one that picked Houston. Everybody else had Pittsburgh, and I was the only one that picked Houston. So anyway, so far right now, Reggie and I are in the lead, so you guys have some catching up to do.
Okay, well, let's, Mr. Scott, you want to start out here? We got the Bills. They're getting, anyway, the Bills are giving 1.5 to the Broncos, and the over-under is 45.5.
Boy, I mean, that's a coin flip game, really.
Yeah.
It really is. But I guess I'm just going to go with the Bills. I mean, they just have shown, enough resilience. I just don't know if their quarterback could be so beat up by now. I mean, he's been taking a lot of hits, and I mean, that's the only thing that kind of scares me about it. But I think they've got to break through sometime. And I mean, I'm just going to give them that I'm just going to go with them. I'm going with the Bills, and boy, 45. I'm going to take the under.
Okay, and we got the 49ers, and they're getting 7. They're playing against the Seahawks,
boy.
And it's the same over-under, 45.5.
The 49ers I really liked, but the last game they played, boy, they looked like the air was out of the tire. I mean, really, it looks like they were leaking oil. And I am really but in spite of that, they're getting 7 points, and I'm going to take them because I think the Seahawks are going to be real conservative with Darnold. They might win, but I think San Francisco, they're healthy enough, and so I'm going to take those points, and I'll take that over.
All right. I'm going to take the Broncos and the under, and I'm going to take the Seahawks and the under. What do you got there, Dave?
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm really conflicted with some of these games, but I'm taking Buffalo in the over.
Okay.
And then I went back and forth, San Francisco or Seattle. But, they lost Kittle, which was a big weapon. So I'm going to go with Seattle in the under.
I'm hoping for the Broncos and the Rams in the Super Bowl. So that's why I picked the Broncos. Dave, we got Sunday, we got the Texans, and they're getting 3. They're playing at the Patriots, and the over-under is 40.5.
Well, I think logically, I think New England should have this because Houston's offensive line is kind of a mess. They had 3 mishandled snaps. Stroud but I'm going to take Houston in the over, and the reason is they beat Pittsburgh. So whenever that happens, I go for the team that beats my team. Then I want them to move forward. So I'm going to take Houston in the over.
All right. And then you got the Rams, but the Rams are giving the Bears 3.5, and the over-under is 48.5.
Well, for Anthony, I'm going to take Chicago in the under. And I know that consistent, and it hasn't only been Anthony. Yeah, I think even just Reggie Bo was talking about this earlier. A lot of people just don't believe in this Chicago team. I think they were selected to finish last in their division at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
And nobody's really believed in them. But they somehow have managed to stick in there. It's at home. Maybe the polar vortex will hit and they'll somehow get it. So I'm going to take Chicago in the under.
Your final thoughts there, Dave?
Well, I mean, I got to talk about Mike Tomlin, and one, I wanted him to continue. I would, he was going to leave eventually, and he's still young where he could coach for another 10, 15 years. Yeah, I think he's 53 now. and because he was 34 when he was hired by the Steelers. We're going to hear a lot of accolades about all of his achievements. We're also going to hear a lot of criticism about his failures in the postseason. He's lost 7 postseason games in a row. I was at their last postseason win that was in Kansas City back in 2017 when Chris Boswell kicked 6 field goals, and I saw that game. But for me, just to be a little bit narcissistic, for me in the mail, what I got today was a picture signed by Mike Tomlin. And
put it under your pillow. Yeah.
And well, I'm literally gonna frame this thing. I sent it to the text string that we have. But what I found really interesting, because I didn't ask for this, I do send Christmas cards to the team. But Mike Tomlin said, dear David, thank you for being such a loyal and dedicated Steeler fan. I appreciate the enormous support you bring the black and gold during the off season, at training camp, at home games, and the support of the Steeler Nation at away games. I hope the enclosed autograph will always remind you of great Steeler seasons. And this is dated January 9th. So this is before, this is like 5 days ago. But what I found interesting about this is that they know that I've attended training camp. They know, and I'm a season ticket holder, so they naturally know, it's easy to know that I go to home games, but they also know that I've attended away games. And I just find that very, very interesting that they, the Steelers organization, man, they even know their fans. But I tell you, I got this in the mail, and I was like a little kid. I was just like so excited. I mean, to me, it's really cool. I am going to have it framed. I think probably January 9th, he was in the frame of mind that they were going to win that game. I mean, I think that's the way, and I think that's why the players always rallied around him. Very, very positive guy. And when you look at the notes from all of I don't care what the pundits have to say. I don't care what other Steelers fans, because a lot of Steelers fans were hating on Mike Tomlin. And he's had that since he took over from Bill Cowher. He won the Super Bowl with Bill Cowher's players. He couldn't win the Super Bowl with AB, with the Killer Bees and all this. He's had hate all through this 19 years that he's been there. But he's always handled it with class. And even when he was asked about the fire Tomlin chance, Tomlin basically said, I agree. I'm more disappointed than they are. And so the way I take his resignation or quitting, as Anthony would put it, is that he took accountability upon himself. And I think I agree with Reggie that he could have, I would have liked to have seen him coach another 4 or 5 years with this, and then really break some records, get back to the Super Bowl, and really, really just burnish an already outstanding legacy. And I just look at, I compare, like John Harbaugh's a great coach himself, but when you look at the reaction of players around the league after Tomlin resigned, compared to John Harbaugh, there's no comparison. And I think that indicates that, I don't know Mike Tomlin personally, but I mean, it indicates that he really resonates in a positive way with a lot of the players and the other coaches that he's working with. So those are my final thought that I'll say is, I just hope that Pittsburgh is able to find a 4th successful coach in a row. They've had 3 in a row in Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher, and now Mike Tomlin. And I just hope that they find a 4th in a row that can hold a candle to those 3. So that's my final thought for tonight.
You sure now?
Well, I always have thoughts.
Come on, Mr. Scott. Let's get your picks and your final thoughts. What's your picks here? We got the Texans getting 3 at the Patriots, 40.5.
Let me see. Yeah, I had that right up here. Let me wait a minute here. Okay, the Texans, I think they have a good defense, and there's a lot of talk, but the only thing that kind of hesitates is they say all these mistakes that C.J. Stroud made. A lot of the gamblers are kind of like, what? How can they keep making those kind of mistakes time after time, fumbling the hikes and but I'm gonna go with New England's coming from down to the top. I don't think teams can make that kind of leap, so I've got to take Houston and I'll take it over 40. I like the low, and but that Bears and Rams, that's another one. The Bears, boy, they've been
they're getting 3.5 at home.
Yeah, and they're at home, and it's going to be kind of cold. But I like the Rams. I just think they're a better team. I think they'll win, and I think it'll be under.
Okay, your final thoughts, there, Mr. Scott.
Well, final thoughts are a lot of good games, a lot of close games. I mean, a lot of things where kickers are deciding games. And it's just. There's some of that. I just have this aversion to not liking kickers winning a game. I just remember, I think it was it either Dick Butkus or Alex Kara said, here he comes out here, our uniform's covered in mud. He comes out here like he's coming out of the shower and he decides the game. So I relate to that. I have a real problem with kickers deciding games. But I guess that's kind of my final thought. I have so many now. I got to get ready for this deal tomorrow to speak at this conference, and with so many events going on, people calling. But that's why I look forward to the games. I think there's going to be some good games this week. All the games have been great. They've been competitive for the most part, and strange calls. And I just have to say the betting part of this thing, it just seems to be stranger than it has been for some reason. And so, but yeah, I'm just going to sit back and, try to relax by Sunday, Saturday. And are there games on Saturday or is it all Sunday?
Yeah, no, 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday.
Yeah. So that I can kind of, look at the games and process where I'm at, basically.
Yeah, well, I know how close. Well, I mean, I don't know, but I know you're close to that area where things are pretty hot. You stay safe out there, Mr. Scott. You might want to take that hat off. I don't think you're going back out tonight, are you?
No. I'm not going anywhere tonight.
Yeah, so you be safe up there. You and Mr. Allen and the friends I have established up there doing our Black News. You guys, I know you live right around that hot area, so make sure you and your families be safe. Well, I want to talk to you next week. You won't have Mike Tomlin to kick around next year, so.
Well, I do a quick thing on Mike Tomlin. I mean, he's an interesting guy because, now, this whole thing, he's coached so long, and then the dynamic with his family. I mean, do they like living in Pittsburgh? Does he want to actually move from there?
He's got 3 or 4 businesses there, don't they, Dave?
Well,
his wife has like a fashion business, and including sports fashion. But
he seems to be a spiritual type guy. I mean, he seems to be close to Tony Dungy. I mean, he worked with Tony Dungy, and I think Tony's kind of a mentor. Yeah. And I mean, I could see him, maybe taking the year off, maybe regrouping with his family, seeing what's what. I mean, obviously, you coach 20 years, you got plenty of money. I mean, that's not an issue at all. No. It's just, the dynamics of his family, his kids, and, to get into that. And sometimes when that happens to people, it disrupts everything. Because sometimes people are just used to you being gone, you do this and we do our thing. And then that can change too. So that's going to be interesting for me to watch. I mean,
what might incentivize him to move from Pittsburgh is simply that he's so recognizable. And Ben Roethlisberger has the same problem. Ben Roethlisberger can't go to Kennywood Park. That's a local amusement park because he would be mobbed.
Oh yeah,
and that's the difficulty for Mike is wherever he goes, he's instantly recognized, and people want to be on top. It'll be interesting to see. I think whatever he decides to do, he'll be successful. He's a very talented man.
I think he could go back to where he's from, Virginia.
Yeah,
I could see that. Being a thing. It's better weather. It's I could see. So that's going to be interesting for me to watch the dynamic of that. I will really watch that.
All right, guys.
Not that he's a friend, not that he's one of my heroes or anything like that. I mean, it's just from the standpoint of you do have to give him credit for coaching that long. Everybody says he's first ballot Hall of Famer. I mean, does he deserve it more than Jim Marshall being first ballot? There's
a lot of people that doesn't, that Jim Marshall should be in there. So you can't. I mean, if you go put Tomlin in there, you got to put a whole lot of people in that category.
Hey James, before you go, what about your picks? Your last two picks?
I'm taking the Texans and the under, and I'm taking the Rams. And what was that spread again?
48.5.
I'm taking the Rams and the over.
So I'm the only one that took Chicago. Interesting.
Yeah. Right. Well, you were the only one that took Houston, so.
Yeah.
But so the winner gets a Super Bowl hat. Whoever wins, cap.
All right, and I'm also the only one that took San Francisco.
Yeah. So who won? Who won the polo for the regular season?
Don did. He came on the last week. He bypassed Bill on the last because Bill just all of a sudden.
That's right.
Yeah. So Don did. So I already got his shirt ordered. So hopefully he'll get it pretty soon. It's where I get it from is a Pittsburgh public school teacher that does. He does like screen shirts, shirts as a side hustle.
Oh, you should have let me know. We could have got our SportzKrib fantasy shirt from him.
I'll send you what his website is if you want to ever contact him.
Every year we give out a fantasy SportzKrib web shirt. Reggie won this week. Demetrius won 2 years in a row, and we've only had it 4 years, so.
Yeah, his dad. His name is Dante Morcio, but his dad played on the Pitt